What's up, everybody? We're live. Welcome back to another installment of Florida Moto Talk, our podcast where we come together to talk about used bike deals, motorcycles, racing, motorcycles in general, and just motorcycle talk. Try to bring you good information. And with this episode today, we're going to continue to do that and try to bring you a little bit more information about track days. But before we hop into it, just give a quick shout out to our friends over at 77 Decals. And 77 Decals, over there, they specialize in providing full pre-designed graphic kits for all generations of Groms and Honda mini bikes. And they constantly update their selections and the themes that they offer. But they also give you the opportunity to create your own personalized themes as well. So you can get any of their pre-made decals, but then you can get up with them and they can create you something that's completely custom and completely unique to your bike. But the designs that they've been kicking out over there are just have been insane lately. But hop over to the website 77decals.com. If you have a Grom or a mini bike and you want to get a graphics kit for it, go check them out because there's nowhere else to get one at this point because they are just going insane over there. But with that being said, how you doing, Tristan?
I'm good, man. I love that Castrol classic, like red, green, and white livery they've got over there at 77 Decals. But good. We were supposed to be filming an interview tonight, but we suffered from some technical difficulties, so I guess we're gonna record that one tomorrow night. So you and I have both been out to the track in the last couple of weeks. So figured we'd do just kind of a quick supplemental almost to our previous track day riding video, about how things go out there. And then especially I made some changes this last weekend. So figured we'd get into that, but we'll get into yours first because you were just out there one day and you said you had a weird day out there. So I'm dying to know what that was about.
Yeah, I did. And yeah, before I throw that out to you, just like you said, we tried to film that our interview tonight, but technical difficulties, but we got a couple minutes done into it before we had issues. And for everybody that's listening, just make sure y'all tune in when we drop that video interview that we're working on because it was off to a great start, man. It's gonna be a crazy, crazy good interview with lots of good information. And the guy that we're talking to, man, he's a great dude. Just very knowledgeable guy. But man, we were off to a great start. So that it sucked that we had these issues, but man, we can't wait to get that video out so everybody can listen to it. But yeah, this past weekend I was at Jennings, and I guess just sometimes you just have off days, man. And I did that 400 race with the Separano with the Endurance Classic. So I had been on the 400 for a couple weekends, getting used to that thing, and then the endurance race, and just riding that 400 is so different to the 600. And I think it might have got inside my head a little bit because just, man, all weekend, just at Jennings, was just my pace was just off. And I don't know why. I mean, I made some changes and made some tire changes, and I just could not get dialed in, man, just for whatever. I mean, we're talking, 5 seconds off my normal pace there. And I just don't know what it was. Like physically, I was fine. I mean, the bike felt fine, but like I said, I just don't know what was going on. I still have yet to figure it out. But I guess just sometimes, we have days like that where we're just off our game.
Yeah, and it's a big speed differential coming from that 400 to a 600. I mean, it sounds like 200 cc's, no big deals, but it's also two more cylinders. And I mean, shoot, I don't know what that 400 makes, but you're 60, 70, I don't know, maybe 80 horsepower difference. So it's a big transition. Like you say, it's not like you just did a couple track days on that 400. You did endurance races. I mean, that's a lot of seat time. So I
Yeah.
think another weekend or two on the 600 and you'll be back to normal.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And it just that 400, it just your sense of speed changes a lot because on the 400, I mean, and there's some people that ride the absolute dog crap out of them, but for me, the difference in speed was very noticeable. I can think of many times where I'd be like mid turn, and then I would have time to sort of adjust my body position and sort of get comfortable. and you don't really get time like that on the 600. I mean, it's just screaming, screaming, screaming. I mean, at least for me, and I'm sure at different levels, people will experience different things, of course. But for me, I just feel like the 600 is just screaming. It doesn't really give you a lot of time to make adjustments and to get comfy like that. Whereas the 400, I mean, you have time to think about what you're doing. You have time to adjust, and it, it's just it just gives you a lot more time to just process what you're doing on the track. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
hoping that's all it was. Yeah, it's just that I had been riding that bike for a little bit now, and I just have to readjust to that 600 speed. I hope, and like I said, my pace wasn't like terrible,
Still
comparatively,
quicker
but
than me.
and, no, I think we were probably about in the same ballpark, man. You probably got me, to be honest, but like I said, it's so. I mean, sometimes we just have days like that, and so I'll get back out there, like you said. And speaking of speed differential, like you said, I mean that's a good segue right into the topic that we wanted to talk about. Let's talk about speed differentials, right? Let's talk about the difference between novice and intermediate, because like you said in the previous videos, you're getting back into the groove of things, right? You're getting back into riding on the track after being away and being out of the game for a while, and now that speed's starting to come back. What's that like?
Yeah, so it's interesting because in the past I was running in like low 132s and stuff, and I never got out of novice. And I don't know if it was because I was still a kid. I don't know if it was my dad protecting me, but he always said, "Oh, they'll tell you when to move up. They'll tell you." And so I never ended up moving up to intermediate, and then I, got out of the scene for 12 years. So December came back and ended up with the best lap of like 139.8 or something. So this was my second time back, and I expected to improve like 3, 4, maybe 5 seconds. I did not expect to improve 8 seconds. So by about midday through the Saturday, it was getting hectic. I mean, it was probably the busiest track day I've ever been to. And my closing speeds coming in on people at like turn 3 and 4 and stuff were getting insane. Um, I had one time where I definitely thought a guy suddenly swung out wide for no reason, and I thought, "Oh, I'm straight lining through the dirt at turn 3," which is not something I really ever want to do. Um, Managed to get around him and keep it all together, but then I had it later in the day. Guy exits 11 in the middle of the road, completely shuts off the throttle and sticks his hand up in the air right in front of me. And it was like, all right, I'm done. I don't need someone to tell me it's time to move up. It's getting dangerous being where I am. So I decided I was going to move up, but Sunday it rained all day. And then Monday ended up just being an open track anyway. Um, but I did. So I've been around quick people before at like a private track day. And when I was on an SV650, it would spook you when people came by you because they came by so much quicker. Um, but so far, experiencing that Monday with some definite expert level riders out there, um, it the speed differential didn't seem that bad, and I was still only at high 131. Um, so I think there's I think when you're riding in novice, it it'll be pretty apparent when it's time to move up. I don't I know certain organizations like require that an instructor or whatever tells you. But that Saturday was slammed and the instructors were, the coaches or whatever, they weren't out on track like at all. They were just
Mhm.
doing their own thing. So no one was babysitting. Um so you kind of at a certain point have to make that decision for yourself, but I think the biggest thing is not necessarily the speed, it's the consistency. So my first track day back in December, I was making mistakes. Nothing crazy, but like you miss a downshift or do it at the wrong turn or something like that, and it screws you up for the next 4 corners. I didn't want to be out with fast guys when I couldn't even trust myself to be in the same spot every lap. Whereas this time, everything came back. None of those mistakes were happening. So even though from people I was watching, I was pretty sure I was going to be mid to higher and, near the front of the pack and intermediate, just having that consistency there, I knew it was definitely the time to move up. So now my goal is to crap, you're at like 123s, 122s on a good weekend. I got to shave off another 8-9 seconds, and then you and I can go out there and hooligan around together.
That's what it's all about. Get out there and make some really good videos then, huh?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, all I did in between December and February was I took out 1 millimeter of front preload, 1 click on compression, 1 click on rebound, and otherwise didn't touch anything. And I just worked on my off the bike flexibility to help with body position and stuff like that, which I still have a lot of work to do. So it was yeah, the speed's coming back quick, but now I know every time I go back, it gets harder and harder to find that speed. So
Yeah, and so I guess then some of the biggest differences from the beginner group to intermediate would be just the general speed that everybody's traveling in intermediate, and then you said the lines are a little bit cleaner as well.
yeah, there's a lot more confidence when you're passing people that they're not just going to suddenly completely change trajectory. Um, Intermediate's got a bad reputation as the meat grinder, but I don't know, a hectic novice group that was it was so sketchy out there. Um, so yeah, it's funny though because I didn't really get to experience it because I went from a track day where groups were over 20 riders each group to a track day where total there were 8 of us. Um, so it's hard to say, but I had guys like Bobby who I think that guy lives there. Um, he came around me a couple times, and the second time that was when I set my fastest laps was I actually was able to latch onto the back of him, whereas in December he left me for dead when he wasn't even trying.
Hmm.
Um, there's a guy on a ratty old SV650 who I've seen out there a couple times already. Um, he came around me, and it feels a lot safer passing, and it feels a lot safer getting past because the guys out there, they're not wobbling around or lost or have no idea where they should be on the track. It's I can imagine intermediate gets crazy when there's 20 guys out there, but I'll uh I'll probably figure that one out in March because I'm going back again. I think 4 weeks from now. So well, I'll have more to add to this at that point once I've done a busy day in intermediate. But basically, my goal is to get out of intermediate as fast as possible and get back into the quieter group because advanced tends to be the quietest group.
Yeah, and I don't remember. I mean, it's been a long time since I was in the novice group. That's why I'm very curious about how it is nowadays, just to see how things are. But I do remember my time in intermediate like very well because I spent a long time there. And for anybody that's listening, it seems like the biggest takeaways when moving from just novice to intermediate is first I guess that you get comfortable on the track and comfortable on your bike, and then um, as you do those things, you'll start to get more confident on the track, and you'll start to learn the track, and then start working those lines, and then start slowly increasing your speed. So would you say you feel like safer in intermediate or the novice group? Like is there a big difference in safety there, you think?
I mean, again, I haven't had a busy intermediate day yet, but
Hmm.
what I do know is this past Saturday in novice was dangerous. I mean, coming up on 3, my closing speed, I know from the solo 2 says I was doing about 120 coming into 3. Um, I know I was coming up on guys who were doing 60. So that's a pretty substantial speed differential. And then you're coming up on them and they're on the wrong side of the track. And then they suddenly decide to swerve over because, oh crap, there's a meatball. Guys shutting off when they're going to pit in right in the middle of the racetrack. One would hope you don't experience stuff like that in intermediate. I think your biggest issue with intermediate is going to be uh, guys screwing around. Um, but at least then everyone's kind of going the same speed instead of having those huge differentials. So I think overall I'm going to be a lot happier and more comfortable in intermediate. But I'll have more to say on that after my 3 days in March. We'll see how that goes.
Cool. And yeah, I mean they say intermediate's the meat grinder, and I can remember all like just the variety of different types of days when I was in intermediate. Like I said, some days would be quiet, and then other days, you would have guys that probably bumped up a little bit too fast and they're riding a little bit over their head to stay with everybody in the group. So you'll get that, and those are usually the guys that are just sending it in the, they're either sending it or they're parking it.
Yeah.
Um, so that can get super sketchy and really dangerous kind of quick. But yeah, in the intermediate, I mean, you can just have that range. You can have just people that moved up too quick, and then you can have people that need to be there, and then you can have people that are probably even sandbagging a little bit, that
Yeah.
should probably go
Yeah.
ahead and bump up. And then now they're the ones that are closing in too fast on the intermediate guys and buzzing them and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I no see why intermediate gets a bad rap for sure, because I've seen it. But with what you're describing, I mean, it definitely seems like you get you one more, maybe 2 more days in there, and you'll be right up to the top.
Uh, I'm hoping so, man. I'm not kidding. I really want to close that ground to you to so we can actually get out there and start doing some good filming and stuff like that. But I don't know. We maybe we could do it sooner than later, and you'll just have to slow it down a little bit. But we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, I'm slow now, man. I'm still trying to figure it out, but yeah, I'll get back up to speed, get caught up with you. Sweet.
Yeah.
So for everybody that's listening to, with what we're talking about, like with the groups, I mean, some organizations will just let you just bump yourself up, but most orgs will require that you get with a control rider, and then if you want to go to the next group, they have to approve you. But I would say just get where you're comfortable, get in a group where you're not riding over your head. You At the end of the day, you know where you need to be. If you're a new track guy, don't be the guy that just shows up to the track for your first day and then just bumps up to intermediate because you're fast on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've talked about that in previous videos, but it's a completely different thing. If you're new to the track, get in the novice group, be humble, learn the track, learn your bike, learn lines, because you're going to make it safer for yourself and everyone that's around you. And then when you're ready to move up, just like Tristan's describing, when your closing speeds are starting to get dangerous now. You're getting comfortable now. You're finding these lines. You're starting to push the bike. Now it's probably time to go ahead and move up and then keep progressing those skills. So yeah, it's really cool to hear you go into detail about that. Definitely for the new track day riders or the intermediate guys that are out there too, definitely some good info.
Yeah. And I mean, so I just posted the video, uh, just kind of like a highlights video of this last weekend. And the first part of the video is that Saturday. And you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I actually have on film in the video when the guy just stuck his hand up in the middle of the road right after 13 and he shut off the throttle. Um, I got at least one of the scary incidents going into 3 where I was just closing so fast and then someone started coming over on me. Um, when you're passing 4 guys in between 12 and 13, like the end of 12 and beginning of 13, there's it's time to move up. So, but the other thing I was worried about was having that consistency, that line consistency, because I didn't want to be a hazard to the quicker riders in the next group up. So it's yeah, you got to think about yourself, but you also got to think about the other people you're going to be riding with. So once I had that clean Saturday where even with all the traffic, I was hitting my marks, whether they're correct or not, at least I was consistently hitting the same marks. Um, so I knew I was a predictable person to try to get by, um, as well as having that speed and confidence on my own. It's it was just very obviously time to move up. So
Sweet, very very sweet. Well, I mean, I enjoy watching your videos. I'm sure everybody else does too. So we'll keep tracking your progression and keep an eye on you.
yeah, yeah, I want to break into those 120s,
I mean, you
129. That'll be an official lap record once I do that for personal best for me once I do that. So finally beat the 18-year-old me.
yeah, you just got to send it. You just
Yeah,
got to
it's
send
there.
it,
The
man.
time is there. It'll happen in March. The time is definitely there. So
Heck yeah, man. Well, do you have anything else on this topic for us? Just switching from novice to intermediate. Any words of advice for anybody that's looking to make the switch?
uh don't be intimidated, but also don't be reckless. You don't have to keep up with every rider in the group. Just a big thing, just ride your ride. And as long as you're doing your thing and paying attention to that and not worrying about anyone else, it's everyone else will figure it out around you.
Yep, exactly. And these skills on the bike, listen to Tristan because it's not something that you can rush. It's not something that you're going to find overnight. It's a process and it takes time. And working your way through the levels is the process that everybody on two wheels has to go through. So
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm I'm doing it a lot quicker. When I was a kid, like I said, I did a bunch of track days and I never got that bump. Um, I also didn't have the confidence to just say, okay, it's time to do it on my own. But now I'm basically relearning old skills. It's not like I'm brand new to the track and all of a sudden my second time I'm hopping up. Um, I've been riding 17 years now, or 16, 17 years now. It's I only had a motorcycle for 10 years, so I rode almost every day for 10 years. I'm not like new to track riding or riding in general. It's just I took some time off basically. So it's coming back to me quicker than it would come to someone who's brand new to it.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. Well, yeah, man, good talking to you again on that one, man. I'm glad to put that information out there and like you said, we just want to take a second to talk about that as it sort of ties into the video that Tristan released earlier this week. So make sure y'all definitely go check that out. Really good video. Sweet tunes, by the way, man. I'm gonna have to get up with you for a rider playlist, man. Go ahead and put together a Florida Moto Talk Spotify riding playlist because I think you got the tunes on lockdown, man.
I'm all over the place. 80s pop, uh, crazy, bouncy Western hip hop, West Coast
Yeah,
hip hop.
man.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I haven't even hit the metal yet.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Sweet, man. Well, yeah, man. I'm glad we can get that info out. And if you're listening, you got any more questions about riding a novice, riding an intermediate, or making the switch between groups, just leave a comment down below. We see all the comments. We'll answer all the questions. We'll put the link for where you can get the Grom and the mini bike decals. Drop that down in the description. And make sure you tune in for our interview with a very special person. Still won't drop the name. We'll just drop it in the video. But it's going to be a great video, so make sure you pop back up to watch that one. It's probably going to be probably the best one that we've done so far, I think. What do you think, man?
Oh, it's gonna be good. No, nothing against anyone we've collaborated with already, but we've both known this guy for a while. I've known him for a long time, so he's a character, that's for sure. So Andy in Florida Moto Talk thinks on the Facebook page thinks he's figured it out. So
Oh yeah, I saw that. He did think he figured out. Andy, if you're watching this, drop in the comments who you think it is.
Yeah,
Let us know who
you
you
got to
think it is.
drop it like now though before we record this and upload it, because then it doesn't count.
Yeah, drop it in the comments. And if you get it wrong, you got to give us a like. It sounds like a pretty good deal to me. You get it wrong, drop us a like.
Oh, I was gonna say a free coaching session, but all right,
Oh yeah, yeah,
let
yeah,
him
yeah.
off easy.
Get them both. You get it. Drop who you think it is in the comment. Get it wrong, drop us a like, give us a free training session. We're good. We'll
Yeah,
call it
yeah,
even.
we'll call it even. No big deal.
We'll call it even. But there's no way he knows who it is. There's no way, no way. But
I think he's figured it out because he said something about this individual's writing history that made me think he's actually got it.
oh man, there's no way he'd figure. I mean, there's no way. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe hey, maybe Andy's a freaky little genius. But maybe he's a little genius, man, and he figured it out with the minimal clues that we've given so far. If he is, he needs to go do detective work or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
We'll
we're
see.
recording. Yeah, we're recording that tomorrow. So I don't have anything else, man. Thanks everybody for watching, and yeah, we'll get up with you on the next one.
Have a good one.